because we know we need to fill it till it drips. And in fact, it kind of helps that my glove is a little sticky. It's actually leaking. Maybe we don't do the trans fluid today. And then I should be able to get my finger in there. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Zach Does It. In today's episode, we're going to be picking up where we left off in the last episode, right in the middle of the fluid swap portion of the mechanical check. And if you haven't seen that episode yet, I encourage you to go check it out because it will explain a lot of the frustrations that past Zach is going through in this episode. And if you're new around here and none of that made any sense, well, you've got a lot to catch up on, and I encourage you to check out some of the links in the description below. Don't worry, you'll be caught up in no time. But like I said in the last video, past Zach has a lot of work ahead of him, so I'm going to go kick it back to him and see if he's finally figured out a way to get that fill plug off of his transmission. So let's go see what he's doing. Round 2. Let's see if we can get this drain plug off. Got my wrenches around here somewhere. And the important reason why I'm putting so much effort into this before I even try to drain it is if I can't get this off and I drain my trans, there's literally no way for me to fill it back up. So you definitely don't want to make that mistake. Odd. I was looking at the bolts here that connect the trans housing to this bracket that is mounted to this bracket, which helps stiffen up the whole drive line. There's one missing. So we've got one here, we've got one here. I can't see, but there it is. There's some more further up, but there's one missing here. So either someone took it out and didn't put it back, or someone stripped it out, and that would have to get ground out or like extracted. So that's not going to happen today. It's not going to happen while all of this is mounted to the car. But if we ever do take this trans out and we want to put it back in, we'll make sure that that gets replaced. Okay, so time for the hammer approach. This is where we just try to shock the bolt by hitting crescent wrench with a hammer. I'm actually not in a good body position to do this, so let me rotate around. Oh, nope. I'm just rounding it out with a crescent wrench. Well, it's not too bad. Let me see if any of these sockets will get a nice snug fit. Maybe we don't do the trans fluid today. I'm gonna Google this real quick. I'm gonna see what other people do. There are a couple things we can try here. I already have a metal hammer here, so I'm just gonna try tapping it. And that is another method for trying to kind of shock something loose. So I did that, and I want to get my 6-point sockets because this is smaller and try that. But before I try it, I want to make sure I have my other backup plan, which is a pipe wrench. So I'm going to go get that real quick and I'll be back. All right, we're back. And we've got tools. So I had another idea while I was down there. Oh, that's loud. I've got stuff in my way. I also have vice grips. So maybe a vice grip would be an effective tool for this. I want to make sure it's like really good and clamped on there though. All right, Gorilla Grip. It doesn't feel like it's going anywhere, so let me try again with the mallet. Oh well. Oh yes, it looks like it's working. Yes! Oh, thank God. Thank God. It's chewing up the piece a bit, but I'm totally okay with that. But it is really on there. We're gonna clean those threads. Hopefully this won't be a problem in the future. But before we finish, we want to get our bucket up here. Catch bin. Yeah, I wish I would have jacked the car up a little more. So hopefully nothing comes out. Well, some came out. All right, I'm not seeing the same level of problems that we saw with the other plug in the diff. But then again, this is also just the fill plug, so we need to get this drain plug off now. Oh, okay. Just needed to be cracked. All right. Are we ready? Oh, okay. So I'm just going to keep my hand below it. Hopefully we can stay mostly clean. And again, it's okay if this drops, so I'll just do the spin technique. That doesn't look bad. That looks pretty good. I'm not seeing metal flake or glitter in this, so I'm hopeful. It's actually draining directly onto the plug though, so any metal that is in there should just stick to that plug. So just like the rest of the oils, we're looking for milkiness, we're looking for glitter, we're looking for like any kind of particle really. The color of this fluid is actually kind of nice. It was a little bit darker when it was first coming out, which to me indicates that the warm oil is doing its job and it's pulling out a lot of the dirt, a lot of the impurities like it is supposed to. So let's take a gander. Oh yeah, we got some metal. Yeah, I was hopeful, but I mean, I don't know if you can tell how big that pile is, but that's a pretty big pile of metal shavings. And there's still more. Oh man, I can feel it. Oh man, that's like sandpaper. That's just really bad sandpaper. So here is that plug from the transmission, and like I was saying while we were underneath, it's got a lot of gunk. I wiped off everything I could with just my finger, so what's left is everything that's really in there and the magnet is keeping attached. But we're gonna clean this up. It'll look just like the diff plug, and what this tells me is that instead of doing my trans and diff fluid every 30,000 miles or 24 months, we are not going to wait 30,000 miles or 24 months. Frankly, 30,000 miles is unlikely to end up on this car within a 2-year span anyways. I'm actually going to do this in the summer again. So it's really going to be about 5,000 miles, 10,000 miles maybe, and it'll only be about 3 to 6 months from now. But we're going to be proactive. I want to see exactly how quick this is building up, because the faster that this is happening, the less life we have in our transmission and our diff. Yeah, if you remember, it might have been hard to see on the GoPro footage before I wiped it all off, but the metal shavings filled that entire cap. You couldn't see the inner ring, you couldn't see the ring around the edge. So yeah, lots of shavings. It's not a good sign, but we'll know better how bad it is after we do the next fluid change. So stay tuned for that in a few months. So well, this looks like it's just about done draining. So we'll get the plug back in. All right, and that is done. Clean. Well, we don't put it on just yet. We need to fill it, and I'm on the wrong side of the cart for that. All right, and we're just about ready. We gotta stick one end of the hose in here. And my head is not in a good spot. So once I get this hooked up, I am going to make sure I move. All right. So because we know we need to fill it till it drips, I'm gonna slide this back there, and now we get to pump. I do want to wipe my hands, but there's nothing to do it on, so. It's pretty easy. Just keep pumping, and eventually it'll run out. Alright, so with one down, we've got one more to go. Gotta go grab that one. We'll swap this out. I guess this is an okay time to talk about the power steering fluid in the shifter turret. Driving on it so far feels pretty good. I guess time will tell to see if we introduce any more wear and tear, or if we cause any problems by doing that. But so far, I think I'm happy with the results. Oh, yes. It's actually leaking. And I still have some left. Okay, cool. Nice. So we do have a full trans. All right, so that's hand tight. We're now ready to wipe down. All right, we are torqued. Now, the only thing that's left is the oil filter. Let's go take care of that and GTFO. All right, so I've got the light underneath, and I'm going to grab my flashlight so I can point it out a little bit easier. But the oil filter is easier to access from the top. It's that little black circle stuck way in there. So my hand is going to do what you're about to do. It's going to go down in here. It's going to turn through and get in there. And that is the oil filter stuck way down there. So that's where my hand's going. That's what I'm reaching for. I need to grab that so I can get it out and swap in a new one. Okay. That was easy. Whoever did this last, thank you. You didn't over tighten these. I am happy to see the seal here, but I'm not happy to see how dry it is. When you do an oil change, there's a few things to be aware of. Number one, when you're taking the old filter off, you want to make sure that this rubber gasket, this rubber seal, doesn't stick to the engine. If you pull it out and it looks like this, go find that rubber seal. If you have a rubber seal on top of a rubber seal, you will have leaks. So number one, when you take the old filter out, make sure that the seal is still attached. Number two, and this really only applies for when you're putting it in, you want a film, you want a layer of oil on this whole seal. And the fact that this is dry, I guess the benefit is this is probably at the top of the filter, but in order to get a good seat, you want that to be wet. So put some oil on your finger and run it around before you put the new filter back in. So I'm going to take this out. I'm going to get my new filter, and I have my oil here. Let's just crack that open, and then I should be able to get my finger in there. Yes, beautiful. So you don't need much. Literally, it's real easy. You just like that, and I can double check. I can make sure that, yes, in fact, there's a good thin coat all around. I'll fish that back down. Make sure we know where we're putting it. And just like it was hand tight when I took it off, we just want to hand tighten it to put it on. And in fact, it kind of helps that my glove is a little sticky. It actually helps that my glove is a little slippery, because it means that I won't be able to over torque it. It starts to slide before I start doing that. So just to make sure that it's only on hand tight. Otherwise, you're going to have a hell of a time getting it off when you do your next oil change. So pay it forward to yourself or whoever's changing the oil next. Don't over tighten your filter. But we're now ready to get the oil in, so let's pour it in and we'll be on our way. A funnel is always good to use, so I'm going to go grab one of those. I don't want to make a big mess as I pour oil all over my engine. So I'll just let that sit in there, just like so. And before I fill this all the way, I'm going to double check how much fluid I need. I don't need this entire bottle, so we'll get some in there. I'll go check the specs. The fluid capacity for engine oil is 3.6 quarts, and this container is 5 quarts. So 3.6 versus 5. I need, relatively speaking, very little. The good news is that there's a measurement guide on the side. So we got our quarts, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 is somewhere up here, but I know that because this is 5 quarts and I need 3.6, well, there's 1, so that would give us 4 quarts if we pour down to this line. This would give us 3 quarts if we pour to that line. So we want to end up with a line with the oil somewhere around here. Now I'm going to stop at this point, and I'm going to measure with this dipstick. I'm going to turn the engine over, help get some of that oil into the filter and help get it circulating, and then we'll prepare to pour even more. And it's always good to keep on checking. So we've got about another quart before we want to start checking things. All right, so we've poured enough in. We want to run the engine a little bit. That way we get some of this fresh new oil circulating. I'll just take that out so it's not making a mess anywhere. Just lightly put that on top. If anyone's paying attention more than I am, I did forget to torque down the oil drain plug, so let's go ahead and look that one up. The engine oil drain plug should be 23 to 30. Our torque wrench is already set at 26, so that's in the range. Let's go ahead and torque using that setting. All right, and that is torqued, so we're good to go. Checking the dipstick to see if we even read anything. If we don't even need to start the engine. And it looks like it's about halfway up. So that's a good place for it to be. We'll start the engine. We'll let the oil circulate for a couple seconds, minutes, give or take. And we'll come back, check the level again. Well, not really check the level again because it's all over. The engine oil will be everywhere, but we'll be able to pour a little bit more in just to make sure things are topped off. And then what we'll do is we'll drive down to Philly, we'll let it cool off, and the next time we go to drive, we'll check the engine oil because we really want to be checking it once it's settled. Well, where did I put my keys? In my pocket, of course. Where else would your keys be, Zach? We made it! We're done! Oh, okay. All right, well, we're not done yet. We still want to check the oil level, but I had a genius idea while I was fumigating myself in the garage. What if I check the oil after the car has sat for an hour while I get cleaned up? It's going to take me a while to clean this mess up, take a shower, eat some lunch, and head down to Philly. So let's pack up. Let's do everything so that by the time I'm done eating lunch, I just have to do my dishes and go. And we'll be hopefully home before dark. Hopefully. Good job, Passac. You persevered through to the end. Oh, hello again. It's good to see you made it to the end as well. Over the past couple episodes, we've identified two major problems, namely that the diff and the trans both generate glitter, and we have no idea how quickly or what kind of lifespan they have. The good news is that thanks to the magic of time travel, I, future Zach, can give you a bit of an update on that. Recently, I managed to snag a Torsen differential and the transmission that came with it out of a salvage Miata. So the good news is that I have replacements for those components. The bad news is they need some work. But more work means more projects, and we all know that I love projects. This is a channel about getting things done after all. So that's what we have on our agenda for the next few episodes. There's some additional interior fixes and some other projects relating to future workspace for the car. Suffice it to say, I have a lot of projects still to come. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and you won't miss out on any of them. But that's it for this episode of Zach Does It. I will see you in the next one.